Welcome. This is an open door, April 17th. It's the hour we've entitled Sharing the Word.
Page
We're
8.
currently working with Divine Union, Paul Selig's and the guides, and as is our habit, we'll begin with a clip of the guide. So I'll play that now and then hand things over to Amy. Really good to have you here.
When something is not being activated by fear, in other words, when you are not choosing in accord with fear, it is far easier to navigate the common field. Because the common field, in most ways, the common field being reality as you comprehend it, holds signposts of fear everywhere you turn. Don't go here, stay away from this, condemn that, be frightened of this, and most of all, perhaps, be frightened of your neighbor. Don't give your neighbor shelter, she might hurt you, and don't care for the ones less than you because they might take all that you have. And these are claims that are in opposition to Source, if you wish to know. Now, to be in opposition to Source is simply to be in contrariness to it, or to turn the back on what is shining upon you. And the invitation now, and it is indeed present now for all human beings to know themselves as we, as one species, as one expression of the divine come in many, many, many ways, must be seen as the opportunity that is beginning to announce itself. When one human being decides to feed her neighbor, she has done a fine act. But when it becomes entrenched in the culture to take care of one's neighbor, the culture itself is reknown or redeemed. What has prohibited you from doing this is the idea of fear, and how you have been taught in fear to damn another, to fear another, to shun another, who does not appear as you do, does not come from the soil you were born on, prays to a different God, or looks at your partner with eyes that you do not trust. To understand that so much of what you do is protecting an idea born in separation, that so much of what you enact is born in a common agreement to fear that you have shared to the level that it has become commonplace and you address it as what should always be there, would actually support you in being able to move beyond it. You understand that if we have all decided that Marilyn, who lives down at the end of the road, is a terrible human being, and Marilyn will have to move from the neighborhood because we all give her that look when we pass her on the road, you will understand how the behavior of the collective has been sanctioned and how this kind of behavior is approved of. Whether it is done at the end of your road or it is done in the idea you have of public feature, media, whatever you would wish to call it, it is still happening at this level. Now, we do wish to add that every human being, high, low, and in between, is accountable to his or her acts. And if indeed Marilyn was breaking into everybody's house and stealing their silver, perhaps that needs to be attended to. But if you wish to damn Marilyn for who she is, and not so much address what she has done or believes she must have to do, because nobody would steal all the silver without a belief that it must be stolen or is needed more where she requires it than perhaps you do. To understand that the idea of this is actually something that is so present in the field that you condone it, would be to understand that the shift that can occur is quite simple. I know or realize the divine in Marilyn, and I behold this whole situation in a higher way. Now, Marilyn is still accountable to what she has chosen to learn through, and perhaps you are accountable to the boastfulness that you held when you announced the fine set of silver you had inherited and how much it cost your mother before she passed it on. But you are all accountable to your relations with one another. And to damn a human being, regardless of what he or she has done, and most often based on what you believe she might do again or he might claim for himself at the cost of your safety, must be understood as a systemic way that you claim damnation and you align to it. We are not saying leave all your doors wide open and leave your bank accounts laid bare for whoever wants $20. We are not saying that, but we are saying the crucible you are facing now as a culture is born in many ways in the idea of greed and in the idea of separation, both of these things which are ideas claimed in lack or separation from source. In the claim, I know who I am in truth, an individual is announcing herself already as an aspect of the Creator, present and being that does not need to be earned. You are already this. What you are, the manifestation of the divine, is already this. How you serve is how the divine as you expresses itself as the peal of the bell, as the wonderful sound that you claim as your vibrational field and body, as you align and lift and reclaim identity in the upper room. And the world that you find yourself in must, underline this, must be altered through your presence and being. Not necessarily as you say it should be, well, as long as who I have in charge, who I want to see in charge, all will be fine. It not necessarily will be fine, it will be different. But when you claim the action of the Creator upon anything, and you align to that action, you are serving the highest intention, whether or not you can outline it or decide how it should be seen or known through the litany of ideas that the small self has procured over time. Well, we don't like the mayor of our town. Time for the new mayor. Well, you may choose this, but understand that even the idea of a mayor may be outdated, and that there may be some other way that the town can be governed to serve the highest for all who are present. The structures that you have utilized as a culture are in some ways being dismantled and in other ways being reknown or reconfigured, because you have got to see how things have been in order to align to the higher potential. If you wish to pretend that you have not been greedy, that you have not starved your neighbors or shunned the one beside you, you must understand that these things will continue to show themselves as requiring the need to be addressed. And you indeed are beginning to address as a culture the separation that you have chosen to learn through. When a community decides as one to raise its voice to the higher calling, when the community itself makes itself available to care for their neighbors, when the community itself starts to sing in one voice in all of the different languages that community may speak, with all of the different histories that community may hold, the divine is present and sung. And the great sound of the bell, the great song of the bell is announcing to all that the time has come for union.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Hope that you're all doing well. I heard a couple of things in that. I love the idea that we don't need mayors anymore. That would save a lot of campaign money. Um, oh, does anybody have anything that they'd like to share? Anybody have a burning desire to express or rephrase or reframe or emphasize something that they heard just then? Good morning, Richard. You've got your spring colors on. I
Yeah,
love it.
good morning, everyone. What came to mind when I listened to the guys this morning was we used to be that way. Communities took care of their own and protected their own. But we started to rely on the government to do it for us. So we stopped doing it as individuals and agreed to pay taxes and let the government do it. And that hasn't worked out very well, as we see in the news today. So I don't know where it goes from here, but it needs to go somewhere.
All right. Well, yeah. That could raise a lot of discussion there. Thank you for that share. Anybody else? Ndego, good morning. And then Lonnie.
Hi, everyone. So great to be here. Um, it's been so amazing for me. I'm just like, um, I'm being guided what to do and remembering like my brain injury and I was doing a 40-day program, which is so amazing. Um, yeah, at least for me, I think just stopping. I think stopping. That was just, at least that was what I did. I just stopped because I didn't know what to do. So I just stopped in being still because it's like, to me, when you're still and you just stop everything, that's when you can hear God and Ramana. Because when we're so busy doing things, you don't have a clue what you're doing, or at least I don't. It's only when I still that I hear this love that we all are. And then I love the teachings from Lisa and Natoli. It's like, let the shit just happen. Just let it happen because it's not what we are. We don't need to change it. And even when you're pissed off, which I can tell you, I most definitely was. You just sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to sit here. So, and I just love being here with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ndego. Lonnie, you're up next. Good morning.
Sorry, I forgot to mute myself. Good morning, everyone. I guess what I keep hearing, what I heard in this, and I listen to a lot of different stuff, and what I keep hearing is that there's a much bigger picture going on. There's a much bigger amount of what's going on than what we have in our tiny little days and the tiny little things that we think that we've got to or want to control. There's a bigger picture, and there's like when I look out and want to and look for, say, information, I don't go looking to see what else is wrong, but to see what else is developing, what else is happening. You know, it's like, when you go to a doctor, you go to a doctor to see what's wrong. But if you want to know what's going on with yourself, you go to someone who's not looking for what's wrong. And so, with this awareness that there's much bigger picture than politics and race and all the things of separation that are in place for distraction. It allows me to be way more curious beyond those separations about what is really going on. And so I keep hearing that pointing. I start every morning with the guides anyway, so I keep getting that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. William, good morning.
Good morning. What I keep hearing this morning is I've been so aware of wanting to contribute whatever it is. Do I have something to contribute? All that goes with feeling that little separate, insecure self. What I'm seeing is what I've really been contributing is fear, fear, fear. And the opposite of that is silence, the gift that's always there to be given. All my life, I've been so willing to lean in the direction of give someone else the benefit of the doubt. It makes it a lot easier on me navigating life. When I do that, it's just so simple to me. But even that, it's the doubt is not even the doubt, it's the gift of silence, benefit of the silence, the truth. The truth sets us free. And it's not my willingness to be somebody permission to be the way they are in spite of my judgments about that. So I just see it's either I give the gift of my fear, separation, or I give the gift of let it passing through of just the silence that's in all of us. And that does the job. I'm just so I can call that anything. I don't even have to call it government. I'll just be silent, and that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, William. Josephine, good morning.
Good morning. I thought that was such a wonderful message. I got two fundamental messages. And the first is what we get from all the teachings, and that is that the collective, and I'm applying it to the politics of today because I must. The power is in the collective, but the power has to be the power of love and giving. It's not in the mayors and in the political structures, the governance structures. They are shallow, if not based on the power of the people. And that power, the teaching says, must be love and sharing and giving and knowing we are all one. And the second, again, I apply it to the politics of today. What can you not accept? And all the horror and what this administration, governance, president, I feel, is doing, the harm, the killing, the awfulness. And we have to ask ourselves, that is the doing, that is not the being of who everyone is. And we must, I guess, as they say, go to the upper room, but really see with the eyes of spirit, with the eyes of love, and understand, and also open our minds to what that teaching is giving us examine ourselves, and what is the learning for us. Is it greed? Is it fear? Is it feeling of separation, that we cannot see that other, no matter how vile the act is, as a spiritual being, as myself? And that teaching comes through over and over and over again. And I love today that it reminded us of how important that is, as we face the awfulness that we're living through.
Thank you. And Lonnie, good morning again.
Yeah, this quick little story, not even story, experience came. I was riding up the coast this last trip, and this thought appeared in the mind of, oh, what are you going to be bringing? You should be bringing something. You should stop and get wine. You should stop and get this or that. And then one in my system completely put a kibosh on all of that and said, is not your divine presence your most precious gift you could offer?
Mm.
And it wiped all of that other thought away, because that is truly the most valuable and precious gift I have.
That reminds me of today's lesson. Truth will correct all errors in my mind.
Oh, look where we came back to.
Yeah, when you get to the truth. Yeah. Thank you, Lonnie. So I heard him say a lot of different things too. The idea of greed and lack and scarcity as being something that we need to move beyond. And I take it back to Richard's comment with his and to the guides, the use of mayor as an example. And human society has worked together to the benefit of all, even when the idea of separation was most deeply planted in our minds. Because unless we work together, and agreed that there would be certain people that would lead us and that we would give ourselves over to those people and to that government and to that hierarchy, we wouldn't be safe, right? Because people wouldn't share naturally, and there would be, as Freud called it, civilization and its discontents. We would all be driven by our own primal urges. So what I hear him say is that that pattern is changing as each one of us recognizes our own sovereignty, our own divinity, and that we move together as whole beings in and of ourselves to create a new pattern that is still all of us together, but each of us together to increase everything and not just to protect our own selves and having to give up our sovereignty and give up our divinity, but to actually be complete within it. And that's kind of what I heard him say. So I will take raising hands for speakers and or for readers. And if readers don't raise their hands, I'll call on people. And I know Cindy. Okay, John, are you raising your hand to read? Have to unmute, John.
Sorry, I'm barely awake. Morning, everybody. I kind of want to go along with what Patricia was saying, because I was thinking about Marilyn and the silverware. I don't know. I feel sorry for Marilyn, but oh my goodness, if she needs that silverware, she may as well take it. She may as well take it because I don't need it. But I know what the point is, and so what I wanted to add to the conversation is, what I like what Lonnie said about what's developing here with this whole story, and I think that it's developing for me is a bigger expansion, and it's a reminder, because I think it was Richard started on about the truth, and then I love that Amy jumps in on that, because that came up for me yesterday, and I'm not even sure if I mentioned it, but it came up big on Wednesday. The truth as an emancipator. Truth as an emancipator of what? Of the freedom from ignorance, superstition, fear, and limitation. That's what the truth emancipates us from. So yeah, man, it's a big deal to listen to these pointers that the guys are offering, just coming from the resonance of truth that I hear, and it's really actually it kind of speaks exactly to what Dago talks about all the time, because like just going into the silence and just hoping to get it, just asking, maybe putting a request in, give us a tip or a pointer here, something like that. So, and then what happens? Like it happened in my own Course in Miracles group the other day. People are talking about going to silence and the judgments people have on people who are in the silence. I nearly fell off my chair when I heard it. But silence is as a sign of passive aggressiveness. I thought, oh my God, really? Then, then I got to I got to realize that again, it's just learning. It's freedom from ignorance. We're just projecting our stuff on, and everybody's got different projections. So what the silence means for one person, it means totally different to somebody else. So I'm just grateful to have the what's developing, Lonnie, for me in this conversation. So I want to thank everybody for showing up today for me and for everybody else. And the divine presence that you bring, Lonnie, the divine presence that you bring with yourself, through the isness of you to share that. Love it, love it, love it.
Thank you. Thank you, John. All right, Cindy's going to read and Dago's going to read. Let me have one more reader just to get us started. Okay, Lonnie and Alice. All right, good. Okay, Lonnie and Alice. All right, let's see where we go from there. I put where we are in the chat, so hopefully everyone knows we're on page 8 at the bottom of the page. You seek to justify old choice. So take it away, Cindy.
And I'm going to read about a page, right?
Yeah, read about a page.
Okay. You seek to justify old choice, why you had to have a war. There will come a time when the idea of war is a complete impossibility. It would never occur to you to pick up a rock and throw it at your neighbor because you know you would be harming yourself. And the reason you would choose to fight would be based in fear, which will not be the operative tone in some years to come. The last hurrah of fear, as we have said in prior texts, is upon you, yes, but it will leave. It will leave a scar, but the scar will heal and in time will not even be seen. Some of you say to us, well, tell me what happens. I want to be prepared. You will not be prepared. You cannot be prepared for the factual acts that will come as the times change. But what you are being prepared for in high ways is the realization of the divine and the light that shines through you as you know who you are and claim a world anew. The landscape is going to be altered in ways you can't imagine. The idea of a country, while useful now, will be seen as archaic in years to come. The idea of nationalism will feel foolish because you will know yourself in a unified state. You may call yourself by this name or that, understand a heritage, understand cultural edict. These things are not being eradicated, but the bindings that they hold and the reasons for fighting based in religion or ethnicity or popular culture, who should get what from whom will be gone. And this is going to be maintained because the level of tone that you will be singing at can actually not comprehend the old as useful in any way. You fight amongst each other because you expect it to be there. You see the past. You cull from the past and seek to build a future from it. The idea of the past, and the past is just an idea, will be seen differently again in times to come, because you understand that a creation was only made at a level of consciousness that could claim it. And when the consciousness shifts beyond it, you will not be bound by the old. As we have often said, you are now living in a museum, a sacred museum, because all things are of God, but you are looking at history, the names of things, the structures they have been given, your ideas of what they mean. You surround yourself with the ideas of what was, and you don't see what is right before you, which is the divine or the sacred that is actually present and informing all things. When you move beyond the idea of separation, and separation has only been an idea that you have given credence to and built structures around, erected walls to fortify the idea or the placement of a human being is somewhere other than the one beside them, you will understand that the walls that were erected in fear, the borders that were built in fear, will be released because there is no requirement for them. And all I have to say is yes.
Mm. Mm.
And thank you. Yes, and thank you. Please. I guess I have something else to say before I mute. And that's just, I have been noticing um, more and more the aspects of self, and I'm going to hold myself responsible for this, that still believe something other than this. And I've been accepting as real as though that energy feels, that that's all just born in separation and it's all just born in history. And I am there's a line in this book later on that literally says effort is detrimental. This is still, I'm living in this. Effort is detrimental. Willingness is not. Willingness is key. So a big part of what I just read and what I'm looking at in Cindy's experience is I accept that I cannot know what is beyond the structure created through the idea of separation, but I am willing. And so that's what I got.
Yep. Yep.
Me too, me too, Cindy. I'm living in a museum myself.
Thank you. Rana's got her hand raised.
Hey,
Good morning.
everyone. Good to be here. What this sentence really reminds me of finding truth yesterday. You surround yourself with the ideas of what was, and you don't see what is right before you, which is the divine or the sacred that is actually present and informing all things. That really makes a thread from what Joel Goldsmith was saying. You know, our sight is so limited. So I'm just trying to see differently. I am willing to see differently. Thanks.
I love that we can't have any idea what's going to happen because that means it's going to be far grander than anything we could imagine based on our past experience. That's a lovely thing. And I love the idea of no nations. No nations. That's an old idea. It just hasn't taken hold in among the general population, but I can see it now. that that's something that people will be talking about more and more. People already are. William, good morning again.
Well, I just keep hearing that years and years ago when I first came across the course. All you need is a little willingness. That
Mhm.
little willingness. I hear it over and over and over. The phrase, what could you not accept if you but knew that all events, past, present, and those to come, have been gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? And I see at the bottom page 9, there is one God, just one God only. One now, one now, one now. We all are one. And I just keep slipping into thinking I'm separate from that. So just wanted to repeat that for myself.
Thank you. All right, and Dago is our next reader. Do you know where we're starting from in Dago?
Lonnie's hand is up.
Oh, sorry. Lonnie, I didn't see it. Can you,
I
there you
dropped
go.
it down when you were gonna go forward, but from within my system, when we when we do human libraries and things like that, something that I often hear said, or that I often we walk in, is, well, there's often these words of, you know, well, now that the fear has fallen away. That's how my system expresses it. But when we talk outwardly about it, we talk about the navigation of life by the lens of fear. And that as long as we were navigating through the lens of fear, that was all we could see. And all of its accoutrements that come with it. And so I recognize, and this is for me was just a confirmation that the shift in our navigation is literally what changed everything. When I say our and we, I'm talking about within my system. That shift to not looking out anymore at what's dangerous, what's okay, what's not okay, not seeing through that lens seemed to really shifted everything as we that's when we were able to see the divine in everything.
Mhm.
It's an interesting experience as I'm trying to talk and say what I'm trying to say, and internally they're like, just say it this way. That's the end of it, period. So yeah.
I love it when you stop and listen and smile. I could see there's somebody else is trying to get your attention.
Because as separate as we seem, as one as we are, and then the expressed desire is to express as the one from one. And so it takes some navigating or getting things together.
Well, Lonnie and Dago looks like she's in a conversation. Okay, so do you want to wait to read, Indigo? You're up
Yeah,
next.
yeah, can I do it next? Because I might have to fill out some paperwork. I'll be like, I don't know, a few minutes. So can I do it the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. Lonnie's
Okay,
up next. Thank you.
thank you.
Now, this is not heresy when we tell you these words. There is one God only, that exists beyond the idea of God that you have utilized to the best of your ability. We call it the one note song. You may call it what you wish, but the great challenge is by calling something God, you attach to it all of the inherited meanings that God has ever held. My loving God, my vengeful God, the God of my forefathers, of my ancestors, the God of my present desire, what I want, and the means to get it. All of these ideas are useful in small ways, but they don't exist in any amplitude beyond what you think they are. To move to the idea of God beyond any name is to move beyond separation. Separation as an idea does not exist in the idea of God in a unified field. The placement of a border, a man-made act, has never been sanctioned by God, but has been built to protect an army or fortress or field or money or oil or a politician's needs. You understand now the ruination that can come through seeking to maintain separation. It is in your world. It is not a highway to learn. You may learn lessons of great value without a bullet being fired. You may learn the meaning of peace and value of peace beyond the idea of cessation of war. If your belief that peace is a ceasefire, you are looking at a temporary moment of acclimating to the idea of peace. That's the best you can manage. What is important to understand is that true peace is eternal peace. It is not a cessation from fighting. When you know that there is enough, that there is not one God fighting another God, or better said, one idea of God and its mandates fighting another's, you will comprehend love, and you will know what it means to love your neighbor as yourself. Now we begin this teaching speaking to the idea of selfishness and how that must be attended to, and how this is not a teaching for the individual as much as for the collective. We have said several things that Paul is concerned about. What do you mean, no countries? This sounds frightening to me. There are no countries now. There are only ideas of countries, the ideas of presidents. All of these things have been claimed in form and agreed to, which means you are accountable to through your consciousness, individually and collectively. We don't say that these ideas aren't real. They are as real as you make them. But they are, simply put, the idea of things.
Wow.
The only idea that continues to ring through me as I read forward was, and it's not an idea, there is one God, only one God.
And true peace is eternal peace. Alice is up next.
Sure. Yeah, they couldn't be more relevant. The song "Imagine" just always is just running in the back of my head. Imagine there's no countries, and it's we were pro asked by those prophets to consider that a long time ago, right? Yeah, imagine there's no countries.
Yeah.
And I do. And I think up at the top of the page, I just think like the purification, the cleanup is about our ideas of God. We carry all this junk with it, and it's for me that was a lot of healing was, the God, the scorekeeping God, the sky God, the God that came down and moved things around, if I was worthy enough and all that. So I love how that was brought forward.
And isn't that being played out today with the Pope's conversation and J.D. Vance and Trump, and it's really raising into our collective consciousness what is the truth. What's most valuable? It's really asking that the church, the Catholic Church, billion people are being asked to really define for themselves whether or when war is ever justified. It's really coming into our consciousness now.
Yep.
And it's such a loud invitation to not look out there for what to think, but to explore and hear what you've come to know to be true.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I think the collective thing, that's mentioned here is yeah, I was having the same like, oh boy, we're putting this out in the public sphere. Is it the God of war or is it the God of love, the God of peace? Um, you pick your lane. I mean, it's just yeah, but I just see it as purification and bringing it up into the light. So that's true, right?
Alice, Richard has his hand raised. Can we
Sure.
let him go before you start? Yep. Okay, Richard.
One of the things I really loved about Richard Hawkins' writings was he came up with a way to measure collective consciousness. And whether or not his way of measuring consciousness was valid or not is another question. But he basically put together a system of 0 to 1,000 logarithmic scale to measure consciousness. And for the first time, on the scale, 200 was the breaking point. Anything below 200 was negative. Anything above 200 was positive growth. So in 2003, he found out for the first time the collective consciousness of the human race was 207. Now, apparently, since his death, nobody's continuing to measure consciousness. At least I haven't found them yet. But peace, for example, is 600 on the scale. So if mankind has been here for thousands of years, and the first time we reached 200 was in 2003, how much longer will it take to get to 600, which is peace? So I agree with everything the guys are saying, and I don't know. I hope there's a miracle that, or 1,000 monkey kind of transformation of the human consciousness, but to get to 600, based on our past, which we know is not real, it may take longer than a few lifetimes in order to get to a point where collectively as a human race, we can get rid of all the past we ever had. So, and we need to start electing leaders that have a higher consciousness rather than a promise to give us things we want for free. Love us all.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. All right, Patricia, you're up next.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank the Pope because the Pope gave Trump a challenge and said, "Who's Christ? Who's Jesus?" And what did Trump do? An AI of Jesus. I rest my case. And it's challenged the thinking and the awareness of so many people. So bravo for that.
I agree. And if it was 500 years ago, the Pope would have been at war with Trump about who held the most authority. But
Yeah.
it's not. It's all happening in the public forum, and it's not violent. We all get to think for ourselves and respond. And I think that's a really, I take note of that.
Mhm.
Thank you, Patricia.
But isn't it also about it's one thing to accept the illusion that perhaps he is projecting, but it's another thing also to recognize that he absolutely is of the divine as much as any of the rest of us are.
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
Sure, he's playing his part, for um, in this play, right?
So that no matter what he does, no matter how outrageous and extreme he gets, that is the reminder that keeps coming back to me, that opens into the curiosities of what is the bigger picture here then?
Mhm.
How does he serve? Because him being exactly who and what he is in this
Right.
expression, if all is of God and all is for us, how does that serve us?
It
And
doesn't
I
mean,
think it
though,
gives amazing opportunity.
it does, but the guides talk about higher choice, and it's good to keep higher choice in mind as well. Josephine, then William, then Indigo, and then John. Wow, this has touched off some discussion here. You're up, Josephine.
Well, to Richard's point, when he made it, I felt, oh my God, waiting thousands of years for all of this positivity to come about. But then if you think that there is no such thing as time, past, present, and future are all happening at once, then it could happen in an instant, what we call it could happen tomorrow. So that made me feel a whole lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And look at the times we've chosen to be born. So
Yeah.
much change, so much beauty. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. William.
At times, I feel that Trump is just talking for that part of me that I don't want to claim. And so I just see his words are, it's like, I don't know when that 600 will reach. That's really not up to me in one sense. In the meantime, I'll spend as much time in silence as I can, or that seems willingly there. So I guess I just look at it whenever I'm looking at the world, that's part of just that's being projected through me. And it's for me to wake up, to wake up.
It's a good reminder. Yeah. Yeah. Dago.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. And Dago doesn't like Trump. I can tell you, Dago doesn't like Trump at all. But Trump is here for us, and so, and we don't know why. I don't know why. But if you can just and you can just embrace that because it's a gift. Everything is a gift for us, and if I can step back and go, okay, I'm just gonna watch Indigo go get pissed off. I'm gonna watch an Indigo movie. I'm just gonna watch the movie and be entertained, and and then just be silent. That's
Yeah.
what I am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could I respond to that? Wow, Indigo, you always come up with such wisdom. Thank you so much. I think that's exactly the way we have to look at this. What's
Yeah. I think Trump would definitely agree that he's here for us. Yeah, definitely. Maybe not in the same way that we might think so, but definitely he would agree with that. Yeah. John.
Yeah, so I understand where Indigo is coming from, and a lot of people come from the same way. It just starts off, yeah, I definitely don't like Trump, and the reason they don't like him because that's the program. Don't like Trump. I mean, look at the media is against Trump and everything like that. But really, for everything, he's no different than Maryland. All he wants is some silverware, and what's wrong with that? So I don't know. We just finished reading about the is about a heresy. There's one God and only one God. If anybody put that up on an Islamic post, they'd be hung up, strung and quartered for putting an AI picture like that. But we can laugh at it and think it's a joke, because at the end of the day, well, what does it say? God has ever held these ideas, inherited meanings that God has ever held. And where did we get them? We get them from the same place where Indigo got her idea from. We're programmed that way, heavily duty programmed that way. A vengeful God. God of my fathers, my ancestors, blah, blah, blah. Present desire. That's the God. And I think it's really, in all fairness, is to wake up, like to when we talk about peace. Well, one of the definitions I heard about peace is having a balance going on, recognizing that there's negative and positive going on, a dynamic interplay between the two. So it's not just about harps and stuff like that. So but then it all comes back down to the end of it, where it's this ideas. They are. We don't say these ideas aren't real. They are as real as you make them. They are simply put the ideas of things. So we're just married to our ideas of things, and we can kind of cut ourselves some slack when we come to liking and not liking or loving and hating and stuff. It's just an idea of it. And at the end of the day, the whole thing is in the realm of ideas, the whole shebang. And we don't know who's running this realm of ideas, or whether there is a runner of it, or we're just part of this energy bubble called ideas, the realm of ideation. That is primary. So anyway, love you all.
You too, John. That is going to change everything when we realize it's all just an idea. Yeah, and maybe we could start calling Mr. Trump Maryland now. I love that. All right, Alice, take it away. You're on When You Understand That Everything in Form.
When you understand that everything in form was first an idea that has been enacted, and these ideas were claimed in a common field held in the illusion of separation, you will begin to understand that the world you see before you is a construct. When you lift to the higher room and reclaim what you see in vibrational accord, the divine self come and holding the field in a high amplitude of what is always true. The walls only crumble. Peace is in the valley. Peace is in the air. Peace is in your heart, because you are no longer claiming through the legacy of fear, which we have to say can be your downfall if you don't attend to this. Bang. Why do you say that? He asked. We have free will. The amplitude on this plane is increasingly incrementally. When you begin to be able to comprehend reality beyond the idea of self and personal needs, you will come to an awareness of how much you can offer, how the energetic bodies you hold, not bound by time and space, can become conduit for a level of healing that will actually transcend any act of fear. And why would we say this? Because God is stronger, or the idea of God that exists beyond the name of God is so high that fear cannot touch it. And God itself, in its most refined state, can abolish fear in an instant. Some of what is occurring now and only beginning, we have to say, is a crumbling of structure that holds a basis in fear. We said this in our first text. Humanity is at a time of reckoning, a reckoning beginning the facing of ourselves and all of one's creation. As this happens collectively, every structure that is informed by fear, the bricks cemented by fear, will have to alter so the new may be born. This is not anarchy, this is lifting. This is a residual effect of a new choice being made by humanity to withstand this time and claim the new. We will say these words now on your behalf. We welcome you each to the new text, Divine Union. It has been begun. Thank you for your presence. Period, period, period.
I don't know why, but it just hit me again that this book is, or he's really speaking to the collective. The guides are speaking to the collective in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And he's speaking to the current happenings. It's so applicable to now and to the teaching on how to confront the now, how to absorb it and learn from it and move towards that future that they speak about.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that like the navigating with the winds of fear is or building your stuff, with the bricks and the cement. It's and I think it came to mind. I think that power and Eckhart Tolle starts with this. Like the structures are all decomposing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. John, do you have your hand raised?
Let me just say that what I heard there, is this is lifting. This is the residual effect of a new choice being made by humanity to withstand this time and claim the new. This is not anarchy. And that's exactly what I heard Lonnie say. Like she's watching what's developing. And I think it's really just connecting those two dots is very, very exciting for me. Thank you, Lonnie. And thank you.
All right. We have another 10 minutes or so looking for new readers.
Indigo.
Yep. Indigo, you want to start at the bottom of page 11? You have to unmute though, sweetie. There you go.
Okay. When we see you before us in a perfect state, we understand what you've been through, how you've been identified, the benefits of learning what have come through this. We understand you beyond them, which means we are not relegating you in your ideas of personal history. Yes, your mother had a temper. Yes, your father drank too much. Yes, the last marriage didn't work very well. And that's that. Who you are beyond these things, beyond all these ideas, born in an idea of self that has been accrued through the lens of separation. Underline that phrase, lens of separation. Imagine you are looking through a camera and the lens is foggy smudged with fingertips. Imagine that the lens that you see through has withstood many things, accrued such evidence of separation, and believes that that must be the only reality. Now, wipe the lens clean is also to release the beliefs that you have been accrued through, viewing through this lens. And that's what you are willing to do. You would rather murder, sorry, I just didn't believe that. You would rather murder the one you can't stand than learn to love her. I love that. You would rather partake in a hateful rally than learn to understand the difference between you and the others beside you. You would rather choose the rest in the, you would rather choose to rest in the old, even if the old pain and even if the old holds pain and suffering, then the new could provide you with a different way of being that would require you to change. Now, what change except and I what I'm sorry, now what changes except an idea of self that has been born into a field that believes itself to be separate from the source of all things. Imagine you are born behind in a wall. The wall is the only thing you've known. Of course, there is a wall. And every choice you make in life, whether or not you know it, is informed by this presence of that wall. Now, if you understood what the wall was, if you understood that the wall was a man-made structure, something that was acclimated to that, in fact, to that, in fact, you contribute to through your honoring of the wall. You would understand that nature itself exists beyond this idea. Human nature is not bound by separation or the laws it would imply it holds. Now, to understand union, now, to understand union is first to decide that there is something on the other side of the wall. And that wall is an idea that has been reinforced throughout the millennia by all who've believed in it. In some ways, you were taught to believe in it. A God upon a cloud, upon a mountain that required a sacrifice. A God that required some to cherish in a flood. I'm sorry, a God that required some to perish in a flood, while a select few survived. Your belief in a God that could turn on you in any instant was created, was your belief in a God that could turn on you in any instant has created institutions to allow you access to a sense of a privilege to God. If I pray as I am taught, I will get to my God's heaven. If those people don't pray as if those people don't pray as they should, they will perish in fire. Your desire for in kind of your desire for in kind of certainty has claimed you in separation, not only from God, but from everyone else.
Thank you.
That's really powerful.
Nicely done. Thank you very much. Anything particularly impress you in Dago? And then Cindy's got her hand raised.
Yeah, it's like we really just don't know. We really don't know. And we really don't know what anything is for. Like all the anger or all the whatever, like I was in so much rage. I was in so much rage I couldn't control it. And it was so amazing to just stop. And I asked God, okay, what do I do? I want to kill my mom. I'm in so much rage. And God told me to tell my mom I'll talk to her tomorrow and go home. And I did exactly what God told me to do. And it was over. And it was over the next day. It wasn't a problem. And so it's just, to me, it's just, we don't know what we're doing, or we don't know. And at least for me, when I go to God, I'm always shown what to do. And I don't need to understand it. It's okay. God will always show me when I'm ready to hear what to do or to hear what I need to hear.
Thank you. You have taught us that in the most profound way. I think you have taught all of us that in Dago. Oh, and I'm so grateful for it. Cindy and then John.
Now, to wipe the lens clean is also to release the beliefs that have been accrued through viewing through this lens, and that's what you are unwilling to do. I confess that whenever I stop paying attention, there is this tendency to go back into believing that the world is real and I have something to protect or worry about. Um, and I'm almost in awe these days of how powerful this I separate thought is. So this entire teaching says you haven't left God and God is love, and so there's nothing to worry about. And so I'm willing to confess that I accept this as true in Cindy, that there is an energetic impulse to continue to defend and attack and judge. And the quieter I become and the more I trust this work, the more aware I am of all the different ways it operates. And there's a freedom in my understanding and accepting that this teaching states that from within that, I can't know what is outside of it. So any effort to try to figure it out is detrimental, but I am asked to give my willingness, or this whole experience. And even, the Course says, that God will wait until you're ready for what's next, right? Big part of this teaching is that you're going to learn through whatever. But when you're ready to stop defending and attacking and justifying fear, something else will take its place. And that's where I am right now, is accepting that there is some sort of programming. John used the word programming. There's a stream running here that I could taste the fear in it, and I am willing for what's beyond it. So something is unwilling. I don't want to claim that as me anymore, but there is definitely an energy running through Cindy that is not yet willing to accept God's love without condition. So there you have it.
One of the things I've been, Francis sort of taught me this, but instead of condemning myself for going back to sleep and not being the witness and recognizing my own oneness, it's to congratulate myself and love myself when I wake up and say, good for you. Nice job. You woke up, It's so much better to feel good about that. I mean, that's a positive learning. I would say that's a higher learning. There's no punishment in it. So that's where I am. But John, you're up next.
Yeah. Well, when you're waking up, you're doing what Cindy's doing. She's confessing to it.
Yeah.
She's say that twice, having the willingness, and recognizing that the efforting that I've been is not required. So that's basically a celebration for Cindy's willingness to confess to all this bullshit.
And she teaches us through
The other
confession.
day he just told me I was wrong, and now he's telling me I'm full of bullshit. So, and yet I know how much John loves me.
I
And
believe
all
it
of it
was
is divine.
wrong again.
Wrong again. Yeah, he just told me I'm always wrong.
When you're waking up with your confessions, and I'm so proud of you. But the biggest clue that I get today, and it speaks directly to and Dago's rage at her mom. This is old museum stuff. That's what we're playing around with. We're playing around in a museum, and what one paragraph here, it says, you would rather murder the one you can't stand than learn to love her or him. Oh my goodness. All we got to do is learn, be willing, like William says, be willing, and Cindy says, be willing to learn something new. And that's what Lonnie says, is just watch what's developing, just the ideas that's developing. I have an opportunity to learn something new. Oh my God. You would rather partake in a hateful rally than learn to understand the difference between you and the others beside you. Oh my God. What is the difference between you and the others beside us or on the other side of the world? Good question, John. I'll pass on with that.
Thank you. I want to just note that it's 11:19, and before Lonnie speaks, I want to make sure that I just put out there, I won't be here next week, but it doesn't mean that we can't do the reading. So if someone wants to
No,
lead,
May's already. May's
oh,
facilitating.
May has. Okay, there you go. See, wrong again. Okay, Lonnie, you're up next.
One of the things I do outside of this space is I host a circle called Transitions to Freedom. And one of the things that almost always in that first session I get to tell people is one of the keys to freedom is being willing to do something different. So if you normally pee to the left, pee to the right. See how that feels. you know, Being willing to do something different opens up all possibilities.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Cindy.
I'm just gonna say I love us. Rubber meets the road Monday at 10:30. There are some changes next week, so watch the email because neither Amy nor I will be around next Thursday and Friday. So the only thing that's canceled is the Advaita and ACIM. Everything else is gonna be happening. It'll just maybe have a slightly different flavor.
I'll be here.
Ron's gonna
Yay!
be here. Melanie's hosting Finding Truth with Rana. May is doing this class with Rana's assistance, and life is phenomenal. Let me stop
Love
the
it.
Thank
recording.
you,
I
Cindy.
love it.
Cindy, thank you for a wonderful week here we've had down the open door. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.